Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. And today's episode is Grey's Anatomy, Season 3, Episode 16, Some Kind of Miracle. Episode in a nutshell is a reminder about what happens in this episode. So this episode is yet another continuation from the previous episode with all of the same patients. Rebecca wakes up and it is revealed that she has amnesia. Ellis is scolded by Derek about Meredith and how she broke her. Meanwhile, Richard and Bailey spend the episode trying to revive Meredith. Each of the other interns deals with Meredith's condition in their own ways. Christina takes it the hardest, and she isn't able to stay, so she goes to the dollar store, buys a bunch of stuff for 99 cents, then goes to Joe's bar, where she shows off her haul, until Burke comes and basically tells her that if Meredith doesn't make it and she's not there, she won't be able to live with herself. Then, while all of that's happening, Meredith is basically in the ghostly plane, and she's interacting with past patients that they have lost. So, from the previous episode, there was Dylan, who was the bomb squad guy who passed away when the bomb went off in um, The End of the World as We Know It, that dual episode saga. Then we had what was the other one? Denny, obviously. And then Elizabeth Fallon, who was the scrub nurse who came to the hospital to die, who was Ellis's former scrub nurse. Then we had Bonnie, who was one of the two who were impaled on a pole, and she was the one that was removed and allowed to die so that the other man could be saved. During the train, I believe it was the train episode. Doc was there, which was the dog, of course. And then at the end, after Meredith comes to the realization that she actually does want to live, Ellis does end up having heart complications and dying. And as she's dying, this is when her and Meredith meet in that in-between ghostly plane. They share a moment where Ellis tells her she's anything but ordinary, and then tells her that she's not supposed to be there and to run. And Ellis stays behind while Meredith then returns to life. And as soon as she opens her eyes, Christina then informs her, who came back and made them try one more time to revive her, which is the one time that worked, that she's marrying Burke, and that she wanted her to know, in case she tripped and fell in the hallway later or something like that. And they talk, and then when Derek visits her later, she confirms that her mother is dead, so what happened is at least partially real. And that was the episode. So now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, it's now time to rank the episode. And as always, we're ranking on our mostly objective ranking list first, followed by the personal ranking list. So to start off with, this episode had no negatives that I could find. I thought it was a really good episode, start to finish. For the positive points, we first have our supporting relationship development, which is after seeing how how Derek reacts to Meredith's condition. Addison confirms that Derek never felt like that about her. Mark then claims that he did and that he was serious about her. And she then gives him an ultimatum that they will try being a couple and do all the coupley things, provided he can go 60 days celibate with no intimacy with anyone at all for 60 days. So essentially 2 months. Then we have our multi-season supporting character developments, and these are worth 3, and we discover Rebecca's amnesia. She thinks Alex is her husband because he was the first person that she saw after the accident, and everything before the accident is wiped out. And then we have obviously the death of Ellis Gray. Then we have the successful emotional impact, which is also worth 3 points. And that's basically this entire episode. You know, you've got your greatest hits of lost patience, Meredith having her ghostly plane experience. Then you've got everybody dealing with the potential loss of Meredith, and just all around, like, everybody's sad and everybody's panicked and everybody is trying to get her to come through and everybody is impacted, and it just, the entire episode was a successful emotional impact. And that's the kind of thing you get when you put one of your main characters that even the audience is attached to because you've already watched them for, you know, over 50 episodes. Um, Obviously, there's attachment there, so when something happens, it's easier felt. And the people who are being most impacted are also people that you have seen through multiple episodes, multiple seasons at this point. So, definitely, definitely strong, successful emotional impact throughout the episode. And then I did feel that there was an impactful slash memorable moment, line, etc. And for me, that's the memorable moment was the moment of Ellis Gray's death when Meredith, who's on the ghostly plane, sees her mother, and then they walk towards each other. They share their moment and basically trade places where Meredith returns to the living and Ellis stays behind in the land of the dead. That is probably one of the most memorable moments from the series in my mind. And it's why I always remember when Ellis Gray ends up dying, is because I remember that moment. So I know as soon as we see the ghostly plane episode, that's the episode Ellis dies in. And I think that it's a really nice moment between mother and daughter because they haven't really had that opportunity to have that moment because of Ellis's Alzheimer's. She hasn't really remembered Meredith, but obviously once she dies, she's back to the state of her prime, remembers Meredith, and is able to give her that push forward and that closure. And even when, like, Meredith wakes up and confirms with Derek that her mom died, she says that she thinks it's okay and that she's okay because they had that closing moment. So I think that's a very memorable moment. Definitely worth the 3 points. Then we have 4 points for the multi-season main character development, which of course is Meredith surviving drowning and the ghostly plane. Sorry, I'm a bit ill, so pardon the roughness of my voice and the shakiness of it. Anyways, Meredith lives and her ghostly plane experience, and then we also get a little bit of Christina's backstory, where we learn that when she was 9, her dad and her were in a car accident, and she watched him bleed out while she waited for the emergency people to arrive. I don't know if we've ever been told this before, but if we were, I don't remember being told that, and it's Denny who says it to Meredith when he tells her about the impact her death, should she choose to stay dead, would have on those left behind, as a way to show how severely it would impact Christina specifically. And then we also get our main relationship development, which is Christina finally being able to tell Meredith about the engagement. As I said when I gave points for Burke telling Derek, I feel like part of the enjoyment of an engagement is the telling of the loved ones, and I feel like that's also a major part of that relationship's development, or at least that particular milestone of a relationship. And so I gave points for Burke and Derek, and for the same reasons, I give points for Christina telling Meredith about her engagement to Burke. But obviously, with all of these points, we're well above 10, and there were no negatives, so 10 out of 10. And when more than one episode has the same score, we rank in episode order, and so the mostly objective ranking so far has in first Where the Boys Are, Don't Stand So Close to Me, Great Expectations, Wishin' and Hopin', Walk on Water, Drowning on Dry Land, Some Kind of Miracle, Let the Angels Commit, I Am a Tree, Time Has Come Today, Oh, the Guilt, Staring at the Sun, From a Whisper to a Scream, 6 Days, What I Am, and in 16th, Sometimes a Fantasy. Now, my personal ranking for this one, obviously, I really like this episode. It is one of the more memorable episodes. It is my favorite of this series of 3 episodes that are all interconnected about this one ferry boat incident. I love the ghostly plane experience that you get like a greatest hits of past patients. We get to see the dog Doc again, Denny again, Dylan, Bonnie, Elizabeth. Obviously, there's important milestone moments. Ellis dies, Meredith almost dies. We see the impacts, the emotional turmoil everybody ends up in. All around, like, I can't think of anything about the episode that I didn't like. And everything about the episode I did like. And so, obviously, it's 10 out of 10. And obviously, it is in first place so far, Some Kind of Miracle. And then we have Walk on Water, Drowning on Dry Land, Wishin' and Hopin', Great Expectations, Don't Stand So Close to Me, 6 Days, Where the Boys Are, From a Whisper to a Scream, Staring at the Sun, Let the Angels Commit, I Am a Tree, What I Am, Sometimes a Fantasy, Time Has Come Today, and in 16th we have Oh, the Guilt. But that now brings us to the series ranking so far, and on our mostly objective ranking we have Season 1 in first, followed by Season 2. Season 3 so far has a score of 111 out of a possible 230. Then on the personal ranking side, we had Season 2 in first place, followed by Season 1, and then Season 3 so far has a 132 out of a possible 230. But with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Grey's Anatomy Season 3, Episode 16, Some Kind of Miracle. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.